Okay, my loves. I know there are a lot of you that are out there that are really wondering, how do I even set boundaries anymore? Maybe you didn't grow up with great boundaries. Maybe boundaries weren't really modeled well for you, or maybe you were told that you cannot have boundaries. Maybe you're tired of being gaslighted in your relationships, and you're tired of feeling crazy all the time and guilty for trying to make a difference in your life. If this is you, then I want you to come schedule a call with me. Let's chat about the Unashamed Image Program. The Unashamed Image Program is geared towards you specifically. I am going to be helping you in our next upcoming session of the Unashamed Image. I am personally going to train you how to not feel crazy when someone is gaslighting you, how to be able to stand your ground, to keep your boundaries intact, and to also see through the bull crap. I am also going to be teaching you how to set really confident boundaries that you can really rely on. And I'm going to help you communicate them in a way that really makes sense. Basically, I'm going to help you live a life free of shame and on your terms. If you are ready and you are done feeling all the shame and guilt for trying to set boundaries, if you are not willing to live another moment the way you are right now and in somebody else's shadow, then this is the time to schedule that call with me. It's completely free, no pressure, just love, just support. Go to www.erinandersonthetraumacoach.com. Scroll down the page to where it says, Let's Chat About Working Together. Click on that button and it'll take you to my booking page. If you're ready to live the unashamed life, schedule that call. Let's get you in the Unashamed Image Program, my loves. From my heart to your heart. Bye. Hey everyone! Welcome back to this week's episode of The Other Side of the Struggle. And I hope you guys had a fabulous, wonderful Thanksgiving full of turkey and pie and stuffing. And I hope they had to roll you out the door because your fantastic feast was so fantastic. Yeah, that's the kind of Thanksgiving I like. Plus, also, enjoying fantastic company with friends and family and sitting around the table, all expressing what you're grateful for, talking about the first Thanksgiving, and it's just such a wonderful way to connect to our Father in heaven. So I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays, and it's actually a precursor to. I think it's so amazing. It's so wonderful how this has been set up, because gratitude is a precursor to generosity, because you cannot give what you do not have, excuse me. And we can't have things and be generous with them without being grateful for them. So anyway, kind of a cool thing how we celebrate the season of gratitude first, and then the season of giving next. I've always thought that was really an interesting combination in the way it's set up. But anyway, we're going to get into generosity in a few weeks, but not today. Not today. Today, I promised you we would talk about boundaries and how setting them in love makes them literally unbreakable. And so that's what we are talking about today. That's where we're headed. And, but we've got to first and foremost talk about what boundaries are not. And how we get boundaries often confused. See, oftentimes we think that boundaries are punishments that, well, if this person does this, then I'm going to act this way. If this person does this, then I'm going to do this. If my husband looks at pornography again, I'm going to make him sleep on the couch. If my husband looks at pornography again, I'm going to kick him out the door. Blah, 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 blah. If my mom treats me this way again, well, then she's just not going to be allowed to come over and see my kids. Now, I'm not saying that those aren't necessarily things that sometimes aren't necessary. Don't get me wrong. Okay? Some people are so incredibly toxic that they do need to be taken out of your life. And you know that they're going to be that way because no matter what kind of good change you make, no matter how good you start to feel about yourself, no matter the confidence levels you start to gain, they just want to shoot it down at every single turn. No matter, even if you are feeling healed and trying to have a relationship with these people, these are the people that aren't going to have it. They won't work with it. But if they sit back and think about what you're saying, those are people that actually you do want in your life. Because those are the kind of people that will change along with you. Okay? And those are the people that we're going to talk about today. Because people, no matter what you do, they can be difficult. But I will honestly say it takes a lot for me to say, no, that person is definitely not allowed in my life anymore. And I do have a couple, but I have far more people in my life where I've said, you know what, you're a difficult one, but I think we can love our way through this. And it works. Okay? So, let's go there. Let's talk about boundaries and how we can start to set them with the people that are in our lives. Now, I've already said that boundaries are not punishments. Boundaries are not consequences. What a boundary is it's literally just letting somebody know that what they're doing is not okay. And no matter what they do, no matter how they kick, how they scream, no matter how they behave, it's still just not okay. More not okay behavior doesn't make the thing they did previously to you saying, hey, that's not okay with me, okay. And this is something that I think first and foremost we have to shift. We often let our boundaries get blown about in the wind because we're afraid of the way somebody else is going to react. So, for example, whenever I tell my little 3-year-old girl, no, this isn't good for you, all of a sudden, sometimes she'll throw herself on the ground and scream and shout. That doesn't mean that I'm going to give in to her demands, right? Just because now the thing that she's doing is still not okay, that doesn't mean that I'm going to let her have what wasn't okay before. No, I'm going to let her sit there and scream and shout, throw a fit on the floor, and ask her, did that make it any better? You feel better now? You know? And see, I think at some point we have to be okay with another person behaving like a giant toddler. That being said, I always want to make sure that I am very clear on this. If your safety is in danger, if your physical safety is in danger, if the person you're trying to set boundaries with is going to hurt you physically, get out. No. That is a relationship that you do not need to be in. Not at all. And it's not okay. It is not okay for another person to try to hurt you in any way. If their intent is to get at you and to hurt you and to make you feel pain, if that is really honestly their intent, no. We're not okay with that. And that's not a place where we need to be. But I will go so far as to say that most of the people that are difficult in your life, their intent is not to make you feel pain. The problem is they're in pain themselves, and their pain is blinding them. Because think about it for just a second. How often have you, in your own pain, acted in a way that was unlike you, was not the way that you truly are? Personally, I mean, I'm raising my hand here, guys. I've done that a lot. Anytime, like, one of my biggest problems, I should say, when my behavior is not at its best, or when I'm not acting like my true self, is when I get overstressed. As one of my weaknesses, I'm still working on it. And sometimes when I get overstressed, like, I get kind of mean. Not to the point where I'm, like, abusive in any way, but I'm like, do this right now, you know? Why can't you just listen to me? Ah! You know, and all of a sudden I am back into my victim mode, and I'm like, oh, man. So she still shows up once in a while for me too, guys. Don't get me wrong. I am not preaching because I am perfect. I am preaching because I have been there, and I have worked on it, and I have tried, and I bet there's even a lot of things that you could give me advice on, right? So it's not because I'm perfect, and it's not because I have everything figured out. I am preaching simply because I feel like I can help somebody with what I know. Okay? And the one thing I do know, 99.9% of people are not really out there to do you harm. They're just speaking out of their filter of pain. But those that actually do have the intent to do harm, you will know them. And I do not want you to sit back and question whether or not that, oh, my husband just slapped me. Maybe this is coming from his pain. No. That person actually has the intent to do harm. Yeah. Okay? If that person is constantly belittling you, like just absolutely horrible to you, no matter what you do, no. That person, you probably really don't need them in your life either. You can have people with pain in your lives, but those people will sit back and they will think about what you have said at some point. Okay? That's how you know. That's how you know. So, how do we set boundaries with difficult people? It looks similar to this. So, when I was going through my healing process with betrayal trauma, my husband would come to me and he would be like acting really weird. And you guys know what it's like if you're a wife of a husband who has, addictions. And you can just tell. You can just tell when they've been struggling. Well, he would come in and he'd just be super ornery and super snappy, and you just knew that he wasn't doing good things, right? And so I'd always pull him aside, and I'd say, "So, what's new? Hi, what's going on? You're acting a little bit like a barracuda today. What's up? Why are you doing that?" "I don't want to talk about it." Well, you kind of already are talking about it, just not with your mouth. The way you've been treating everybody today is definitely talking about it. So, you've got a couple of options. I mean, you can talk to me about it, and we can see if we can't find a solution together. You can sit here and try to suffer on your own. That's fine, because I'm not going to suffer with you, and I'm not going to let you allow the kids to continue suffering. So if you choose to suffer on your own, that's fine. You need to do it in your car.
Or if you just really seriously want to bring hellfire and damnation down on this house, okay, cool. Me and the kids are leaving. It's on your tab. You're going to be paying for the hotel bill, and um, you can call us when you've cleared your energy. Just let me know which one sounds best to you. Okay, cool. I think listening and talking it through is probably going to be the best. That's an example of a loving boundary, guys. You don't have to sit there and allow somebody to mistreat you. Not at all. Never said that. Never will. Give them options. Let them know that it's not okay for them to continue treating you like this, but you're not going to try to control them either. That those are the things that you're going to do. Those are your choices. You're not going to try to make them sit on the couch. You're not going to try to force them to do anything. But you can say, hey, it'll be on your bill. It'll be on your tab.
So how do you feel about boundaries? It's a legitimate question. A lot of people come to me really struggling with this concept. They often feel guilty for setting boundaries, or they're not sure about even what a boundary is. They've heard the term, set the boundary, things like that, but that's really confusing for them because it's not something that's well taught in our society nowadays, right? They know that boundaries are really important to having healthy, constructive, supportive, and wonderful relationships, but why? And oftentimes they also know that they feel like their boundaries are being violated, but they can't quite pinpoint what the boundary is that's being violated. That's why I've created the Clarifying and Creating Your Boundaries free PDF. You can find out what your boundaries are, how to tune in to what the boundary needs to be, and how to effectively create and communicate your boundary so that way you stay in this place that respects you, respects the other person, but also gives you the confidence in your boundaries so that way you stop being gaslighted, disrespected, and unseen. Having your boundaries really clear gives you a voice and also helps the other person stay in accountability with themselves. So that's not a role that you have to take on anymore. So if you are ready to really have clear boundaries, to really understand what your role is in the boundary, and to give yourself some safety and some protection against people that might try to gaslight you or are just being disrespectful, go grab my Creating and Clarifying Your Boundary PDF at erinandersonthetraumacoach.com. And while you're there, let's schedule a call with me. Come have a chat with me so that way I can really, really help you master this particular skill, creating boundaries, clarifying the boundary, communicating that boundary, and so that way I can also help you have relationships that show up to support you, cherish you, and love you.
I'll send the bill to your credit card company. Whatever it's got to be. This is an idea of a loving boundary because here's the deal, okay? A loving boundary encompasses you and that other person and allows them, it gives them the ability to actually interact with you without you being mistreated and without them having to add on to their conscience that they just mistreated their family again. See, guys that are in addiction are in kind of just this really downward spiral, and women who are in the victim mentality are also in a downward spiral. And so when you guys are sitting there going back and forth, you're in your victim mentality, he's in his addict mentality, They feed off of each other so desperately, so bad. And it's just kind of like he's in his victim, not victim, he's in his addict mentality, which triggers your victim mentality. Your victim mentality triggers his addict mentality, because now he's sitting there thinking, man, I am just terrible. If it wasn't for me, she wouldn't be acting like this. Like, these are a lot of the things that are going on in his head. Ask me how I know. I've had a husband that has been in the addict mentality, right? You shared these things with me. And as I've coached men now too, I've heard lots of similar thoughts from them as well. Yeah, they don't love that they come home and are just butts. They don't like it. But people do not behave above what they believe about themselves, right? They don't. If you believe you're the victim, you act like the victim. If you believe you're a butt, you behave like a butt. If you believe you don't deserve your family, if you believe you don't deserve the life that has been given you, then oftentimes you try to sabotage it, which is exactly what these difficult people do in our lives. And so the goal here is to be able to help them open up and talk without the fear of it coming back to slap them later. Without the fear of, man, I am a butt. I am just the worst. Because that kind of mentality feeds into their addiction, guys. Let me tell you that. If they are believing it, it feeds that addiction. And this is the very thing you want to stop. So don't tell them what they're going to do. Tell them, give them a couple of options of things that you're going to do and ask them which one they would prefer. Okay? You and I can talk about this. I'll be calm, I promise. I won't yell, I won't scream. I'm just going to be calm. I'm going to listen. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to hold you accountable that way. Or, if you would rather not talk to me, that's fine too. Like I said, I'm not going to force you. I am not going to sit there and attach myself to this outcome. So, if you're not willing to talk to me, then you can go ahead and sit in your car until you calm down and you can come back in with a better attitude and treat us with more respect and actually show up the way that I think you can. Or if you're not willing to do that either, then okay, well, me and the kids are going to go out. We're going to go have some fun without you. You can stay here and deal with your demons. But once you've cast them out, let me know. I will hand you the bill and you will pay it. Okay? What about if he lies to you? Ooh, that's one I get a lot. Because that's a boundary that a lot of women have. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. But how can I really actually know that he's lying to me? We'll just say that. You know what? I'm not sure if you're telling me the truth or not. Why don't you trust me? That's a really good question, love. Why do you think I don't trust you? Have you given me a reason to trust you? If you have, please tell me. Maybe I'm missing this. Am I missing how, like the signs that you've given to trust me? Well, yeah, I help you with this, and I do this, and I do this, and I do this. Those are all good things, yes, and I trust you to help me around the house. I trust you to help me with the kids. You're a fabulous father. But I don't trust you to tell me the truth. And see, that's what's broken here is the trust. There's lots of different ways to trust a person, honey. And that's what I don't trust, is that you're actually being honest with me. Because if you were, I would know all of the terrible things that you think you've done. You would have no problem telling me these things, being totally honest with me, no matter how scary it is, and working with me. Instead of leaving me out of the picture, you'd work with me. We're a lot stronger together, honey, than what we are by ourselves. Well, you're still not willing to tell me the truth, huh? Okay. I still don't feel like you're telling me the truth. Still don't feel like you're telling me the truth. And I'm sorry, you might be, you're right. I really don't know for sure, but I still don't feel like it. And so, because you can't tell me the truth, then maybe I need to tell you the truth and let you know that this is not good for you and me. That I don't want to be married to a liar. I don't want to be married to someone who I'm constantly worried about whether or not they're being honest with me. That is a really big deal for me, because I choose to be honest with you no matter how scary it is, no matter how bad it may be, and no matter what the consequences may be. I still choose to be honest with you. If I've done something dumb that is going to affect you, I feel like you should know. And if I'm showing up for you that way, I expect the same from you. And if you can't give that to me, well then, honey, then that's going to cause me having to make decisions on my own without you that you may not like. So I'm going to ask you one more time. Are you going to continue to leave me out of this situation, leave me out of your life, and leave me out of the truth? Because if you are, that causes me to have to make decisions on my own that you may not like. Are you really seriously okay to have those consequences? Or would you rather make me an equal team member so that way you always have access to my thoughts and you always know where you stand and how I'm feeling, so that way you're not surprised with something someday? Which would you rather have? And guys, it's really seriously that simple. The reason why we make it difficult is because we're communicating through the emotion. And when we communicate through our anger and our emotions and our sadness and our fear and our betrayal, which is hard not to do, I will totally honor that, guys. But when you're communicating through that, that's the filter in which you communicate from. And so the only thing that they hear is, I'm terrible. Look at what I've done to her. This is just more proof. And it feeds the lie. Remember, truth and lies. It feeds the lie that is feeding the addiction. And the addiction, therefore, continues on. An addiction is a cycle, the same way a victim mentality is a cycle. And the only way we stop it is to break the cycle. So don't feed into his cycle. Don't feed into yours. And if you need to, go back and listen to episode 3, Truth and Lies. Identify your lies, fix your triggers, and then you can communicate like this. Because if you're still feeling like you are communicating through your fear, then that is all he's going to hear, and it's that same fear that is feeding his addiction. So, if you don't feel like you can communicate like this immediately, here's what I suggest. I want you to tell him this. I am feeling triggered right now, and I don't want to communicate the trigger to you. I don't feel like that's good for either one of us. I'm going to put this conversation down for a bit. I'm going to go journal. Get a journal. If you don't have a journal, get a journal. I'm going to go journal about how I'm feeling right now. And I am going to get out the feeling. I'm going to get out the emotion, and then I'm going to write down some of the things that I feel like I really need to say to you. I'm really going to contemplate the best way to explain how I'm feeling to you, and then go there. And then we'll reconvene. We'll come back together and we'll talk again. Okay? You may, after you've gotten that down, you may come back to the conversation and feel yourself being triggered again. This does take a long time to get through triggers, but if you are trying to rush the process, let me just say that is the longest possible way to get through a conversation, a difficult conversation that needs loving boundaries that do not get broken. That is the longest possible way you can take to get the point across. Take your time to learn this method, this strategy. Journal out your feelings. If you literally want to see him get hit by a lightning bolt, that's okay. Write it in the journal. Don't tell him. Okay? Write it in your journal. Don't tell him. And then write down what you want to say. After you've got the emotion out, like really script it out. And bring that script with you to the conversation. So that way you can stay on task. And then when you feel like it's getting out of your control again and you're starting to feel the emotion come back up, say again, I'm so sorry. I have to put this down again. So that way I can communicate properly to you. I'm going to go journal again. I'm going to rescript this. Okay? And the more you do that, the better and better you become. And so technically you setting a do not lie to me boundary actually starts with you setting a boundary with yourself saying, I am going to communicate like this. And I'm only going to communicate like this. And when I don't communicate like this, I'm going to own it. I'm going to go to him and say, I can communicate better. I am practicing. I am trying to communicate better. And so that person that just showed up was not the best version of myself for a difficult conversation. I'm going to come back to you in just a second, and I'm going to go try again. Please forgive me for not showing up as my best self. Okay? And this is what this does. You owning your behavior and the way you just chose to show up. You owning the fact that you have set a goal for yourself and that you fell short of that goal, and you just stating that to them actually is a wonderful thing, because now you're being honest. You're showing them that you are going to live up to that promise. And that if you own up to that promise, then maybe, just maybe, they can too. They start to subconsciously think, she's showing up this way. Maybe I can too. And so they're going to start venturing out and trying something different. The only way to break a cycle, guys, is for one of you guys to decide to break it. But not for the other person. You can't do that. You can only break it for yourself. And so the more you sit there and focus on breaking his cycle, the more time you waste on the actuality of healing yourself and your marriage. Don't do that. This is a boundary you set with yourself first. That you will only communicate in the very best possible way. Where it's that stop and go, and stop and go that will eventually get you to the place you're at. Okay? And you also know your husbands. Sometimes they might be like, oh, we're bringing this up again. You can sit there and say, would you rather me bury the hatchet with the handle sticking out? I'm trying to bury the hatchet. Like, make it gone. Make it be gone. So that way you and I can have this settled between us. I don't feel like it's settled. But if you would prefer me to bury it without with the handle sticking out, so that way I can come back and hack you with it later, I guess that's okay. But, that's really not the way I want to show up for you. I am trying to show up the very best I possibly can, so that way you and I can communicate through this. We can be a team. Like, do you want to be on the same page with me? Okay, then please do not complain to me when I am trying to talk to you about this. Please do not complain to me. Please do not act like this isn't a big deal. Because if that's the way you want it to be, then again, I'm going to have to make decisions without you. If you leave me out, then I have to make decisions on my own that you won't like. Do you want to make me an equal partner or not? Okay, then please be patient with me as I am trying to be patient with you. And let's pick up this conversation again and keep it going. This is the finest form of accountability, guys. When you sit back and you can actually help yourself like communicate the feeling without showing the feeling. That is the best way to communicate where you're at without the filter of the emotion. It's just stating it in no other way not in a way that he can't misunderstand. And you're also bringing logic into this mix. Okay? Next week, I think we're going to pick up on boundaries again, because this is such an extensive topic that I really want you guys to get this. I want you guys to really feel confident and understand what it looks like to be confident in your boundaries. Okay? I will see you guys soon. Have a happy week. Bye. Hey guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me today and listening in on this podcasting episode. Don't forget to tune in next week. It's gonna